Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Leanne, and in today's What's for Dinner video, I have got 4 recipes that are really easy and quick. We have been very busy, so that's kind of been what I've been going for, quick and easy. So this recipe is a vegetable beef soup, and I am browning up 1 pound of ground beef. I also have in 1 small diced onion in there, and then we're adding in 1 teaspoon each of garlic powder and dried basil, and we're going to just cook that until the ground beef is thoroughly cooked. I am using a lean ground beef. If yours leaves a lot of fat, then you may have to drain it after this step, but I did not need to. Like I said, we have been very busy. I think on this particular night, I had just been running errands all day, and that always takes longer than I think it's going to. So when I came home, I needed to figure out something that was quick and easy to get on the table, and this vegetable beef soup definitely falls into that category. Now I'll have the recipe linked in the description box below. I always do a little bit of variations just based on our preferences as well as what I have on hand. So I'm adding in 1 can of corn that has been drained. Forgot what I was putting in there for a second. And then I'm using about 1.5 cups of frozen green beans. The recipe just calls for 3 cups total of frozen vegetables. I didn't have all frozen, so this is just what I decided to do. And then I'm also adding in 1.25 cups of vegetable broth. The recipe does call for beef broth, but I had some vegetable broth that needed to be used up, so that's what I went with. And then the recipe does call for 1 can of tomato sauce. I'm using this marinara sauce because I had some in the refrigerator, and I measured out about the appropriate amount. And then I realized it used up pretty much the entire jar, so I put a little bit of vegetable broth in there to just clean out the rest of the can or the jar, and shook that around and poured that in the soup. So I figured if it was a little extra liquid, it would be fine because it was a soup, but feel free to follow the recipe more directly if that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. So now I'm going to add in coconut aminos, which is a substitute for soy sauce, so feel free to use that. But the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of soy sauce and 1 tablespoon of molasses. I thought that was a little different, using molasses in a soup, but I trusted the recipe and it was really good. So I definitely recommend doing that. If you have it, I would imagine if you don't have that on hand, you could skip that, but I did. And I'm just stirring this all together, and we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to reduce heat on medium-low, or reduce heat to medium-low and let it simmer for 15 to 20 minutes, or basically until your vegetables are cooked. So if it takes less time than that, then that's all the time it takes. I think mine did take less on this particular night because I only had green beans that were frozen in there. I'm just giving it a test to make sure the veggies are cooked, and then it is all done. Now, my husband also likes peas, so you're going to see in a minute, I did heat up some frozen peas for him for his bowl. Just I try to do that when I remember. I just don't always think of it, but I don't care for peas, so I don't put them in my recipes. So I did have those frozen veggies on hand, and I added those to his. And this soup, guys, this really was so good, and comes together in probably about, I don't know, 30 minutes. So it's very quick to put together. And there are the peas for his, just to, you know, give him something that he enjoys in his. And this dinner was really good. Highly recommend it. Very quick and easy. Yes, I said it again, quick and easy to get on the table. Alright guys, so for this next dinner we're having burger bowls. There are lots of different ways of doing burger bowls, but I'm keeping this really basic on this night, and they were still delicious. So I've got 1 pound of ground beef, and I'm just adding in some onion powder and garlic powder to season up this meat. And then I also add in a little bit of steak sauce. And some salt. The steak sauce is coming. I think I might have heard of that before and done it before, but I didn't really think about it until I saw Fallon on Moss Family TV talk about steak burgers. I think that's what she called them. I don't know, this isn't the exact recipe, but it involved putting steak sauce in the meat, and so I thought that was a really good idea, so I added a little bit of that, and we're just going to form up some patties. And if you are new here, I really don't like handling raw meat with my bare hands. mainly because I just don't like the idea of it getting up in my fingernails. So I throw on some disposable gloves. I'm sorry guys, I'm a little bit tired. And then we're just going to mix it up really good and form some patties. I just did 4 patties out of the 1 pound of ground beef. And then they get sent out to the grill, and my husband grilled them up. So I don't show that here, but you get the idea. You know how to do that. So then we're just going to make up some pretty basic salads. You can do so many things here. Do whatever you want. I have my husband doing our salads for us. He's really good. He just chops things really good and does the right ratios for salads. So I usually task him with that whenever possible. So we're just doing some lettuce and tomato. We'll add in some carrots and cucumber. You can really do anything that sounds good to you. You could add on some bacon if you want, but we're just kind of going with what we had on hand and kind of our basic salad with a few things added on. So we've got the cucumbers here, and then we're going to chop up, well, I'm not sure what's next. We'll see in just a second here. By the way, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out so much, and I would really appreciate it. So now we're just adding on some cheese. I think we already had some cheese shredded up in the refrigerator. So I'm not sure, that's either cheddar cheese or Monterey Jack. It's one of the two. We just happen to have some shredded up, or you could just cube it up, whatever you want. There's no specific rules here, guys. Use some sliced cheese, whatever. So now we've got some dill pickles. We're chopping them up and throwing them on the salad. I actually really like pickles on my salad, not just for burger bowls, but now you can also do the burgers just ground meat if you want. We actually made the burgers and just are doing some chunks. I wanted mine cooked a little bit more, so I'm heating mine up in the microwave just to get it cooked through a little bit more. Now for the dressing, in times past, my husband has made his own dressing with like mayonnaise and ketchup and maybe diced up pickles. I don't know. There's lots of different ways. Today he's just doing a ranch and steak sauce, and I'm just doing Italian simply because I wanted to make my own ranch. I don't care for that ranch, but I was out of what I needed to make my own, so I went with Italian. So do what you want, do what your preference is. There's some recipes online for like making some, I think they call it like Big Mac sauce, so whatever you want. But this was our dinner, and it was very quick and easy to put together, and very delicious and very flavorful. Alright guys, so for tonight's dinner, I am starting this in the morning. We're going to be gone all day, and I'm wanting something to eat when we come home. So this is called Cool Ranch Crackpot Chicken Tacos or Tostadas. I'm just going to do the chicken. We're probably going to do it in nacho form tonight. I'm not sure. I will show you when we get there. So I'm going to start by spraying my Crackpot. So the recipe calls for 4 chicken breasts, about 1.5 pounds. I'm going to be putting 2 in, but it's 1.3 pounds. So it's not that much less. All right, now the recipe calls for 1 packet of taco seasoning, 1 packet of ranch seasoning, and 14 ounces of chicken broth, which is about 3.5. So my chicken breasts also are frozen, which I am cool with because I'm gonna have to put these in the crock pot longer than the recipe says. And I know some people say you shouldn't put frozen meat in crock pots, but I'm not worried about it. So they're frozen. I'm also gonna put in a little extra liquid because I don't want them to dry out, since I have to leave them in longer based on how long we're going to be gone for. And I don't have a programmable crock pot that I can like switch it to warm after a certain amount of time. So I'm gonna put in about 4 cups, and I'm actually using vegetable broth instead of chicken broth. That's just my preference based on what I have. I also make my own taco seasoning and ranch seasoning, so that's what you'll see me putting in. 1 packet is about, well, I don't know, I think it's about 3 to 4 tablespoons. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, and the directions say to put this on low for 5 hours. Like I said, mine's gonna be a little bit longer, but we'll come back when I'm all done. All right, I'm giving you the option to ignore my hair right now. I just realized, so I looked up, I'm like, well, how much is 14 ounces in cups? And it says 3.5 ounces, or 3.5 cups. But that doesn't really make sense because the 32-ounce carton has 4 cups of broth. So I might have put too much broth in. I don't know. I'll leave the original recipe link below, and I'll let you know how this comes out in just a second. Now I need to go get ready because we've got somewhere to go, and I can't look like this. All right, guys, so this has been quite a bit longer than you would normally do, but we were gone. I think I might have put a little too much liquid in, but we're gonna work with it. I don't know if you can see, the chicken is just falling apart. Anyways, this might be a little bit more liquidy than it needs to be, but I'm just going to shred this up, and then you let it sit for another 30 minutes. I probably won't do that because it's late and we're ready to eat. I'm just gonna shred this up while we get everything else ready. And then if I have to, I'll drain off some of the liquids. So this is a very simple recipe. I think I just may have messed it up by putting in too much liquid, but that's okay. So for our nachos, we have a foil-lined baking sheet. I have just sprayed it with some cooking spray. Put out our tortilla chips. We really like the blue corn tortilla chips from Aldi, but of course you can use whatever you want. And then we're just adding on some shredded cheese. It looks like that was probably the Monterey Jack, or you can use cheddar, whatever you want. And then we're gonna pop it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 10 minutes until the cheese is melted. Sometimes I'll add the meat on before I put it in the oven, but because the meat was in the crock pot, it was really nice and hot, so I added it on afterwards. But usually anything that we want hot on our nachos, we'll obviously put on first, put it in the oven, take it out, and then put any of the cold items on top. So we just switched it up this time because the meat was nice and hot from the crock pot. Now we're just gonna add on our cool ingredients. We've got some shredded lettuce, or I guess it was just diced up lettuce for us, but some lettuce, and then we're gonna add on some tomatoes as well, along with some sour cream, and then I think my husband puts on some taco sauce on his side. And we eat it right off the pan. We just bring this pan to the table once it's all done and grab forks and just kind of each take a side and go for it until we meet in the middle, or well, not quite the middle. I can't usually quite do half, but you get the idea. This is a really good dinner. I don't know if you'll catch a glimpse of the clock, but it's like 9:30 at night. So this makes for easy cleanup, and it's just an all-around good dinner. The next recipe you're gonna see is going to be using this chicken again. I used the leftovers for another recipe, so that'll give you another idea for it. All right, so here's tonight's dinner. We're tired, it's late, so we kept it simple with cheese, the chicken, lettuce, tomato, sour cream, and I think Jesse has cilantro and taco sauce on his side. Sometimes we had beans and corn, but this is a really simple, quick recipe. The chicken is super easy to do. You could also use it in tacos or burritos or on rice. Anyways, we're hungry, we're gonna eat. This is dinner for tonight. All right, so I guess we're going to call this Crunchwraps. I don't know if that's what it would technically be. I don't know how you decide names for dinners, but that's what we're calling it. So we've just got some tortillas and some sliced cheese. I'm just using some Colby Jack. You could use whatever you wanted, cheddar cheese, pepper jack cheese, mozzarella cheese, whatever. And I'm layering the cheese on twice. So I'm going to put cheese, and then I made up some brown rice, and I did use, I think, vegetable broth to cook that just to give it a little bit more flavor. And then we're using that leftover shredded chicken. Oh my goodness, guys, that was so good. This dinner here that we're doing with the Crunchwraps was just as good as the nachos, like really, really good. And then we're going to add on some black beans that I've just drained and rinsed. And then we're going to add on some more cheese. I just thought it would be good to have cheese on both sides, kind of hold it all together. And on the stove, I've got avocado oil heating it up. You could use olive oil or I guess whatever you wanted. Avocado oil is good at a high heat, so that's kind of what we went with. I did heat up all of our ingredients here, the chicken and the rice and the beans. So we're mainly just kind of toasting up that tortilla shell versus having to heat everything all the way through. I did make sure that stuff was all warm. And you see I've got two in the pan. Once they are nice and toasty, we're just flipping them over. You do want to put the folded side down first to help it stay closed. You see as I flip it over, it's now completely staying closed. So that's just kind of what we're doing there. And you see I really just kind of tuck in the sides. It's not a really fancy secure wrap, like I think my tortilla even tore a little bit, but it all held together just fine. And yeah, so you're just gonna do that on both sides until they get nice and golden brown. And then we just served ours on the side. Again, this was another really quick and easy thing. We just served it with some lettuce and tomato and and some sour cream. And this dinner was also really, really good. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like I said, please give it a thumbs up. Oh yeah, I put some sliced avocado on my husband's because we had that on hand. Give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. I would love to have you. I love sharing recipes with you. I also throw in some vlogs and decor and DIYs, but you know, watch whatever of it that you like, but I'd love to have you subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in our next video. Bye guys.